Welcome to the Horror Cabin Podcast. This is Julian Seyfried, your host, ready to talk about all things in the world of horror. So go ahead, get yourself some popcorn, something to drink, but make sure you take a buddy with you and come back and sit down, and we'll get started. Hello, horror fiends. Welcome to the second episode of the Horror Cabin Podcast, a show that firmly believes that Dr. Herbert West should be given many grants to fund his medical science research. I'm your host, Julian Seyfried, here to inform and try to entertain you guys in the world of horror entertainment. Let's go ahead and get started, but first I want to go ahead and promote a particular film that's literally titled Honey Spider. It is directed by Josh Hasty and written by Kenny Caperton. It is an awesome film that you should go see because, one, your host is in the film as well. So go check it out. It should be released now as far as distribution-wise, and you can always buy it on Amazon, Best Buy, or at MyersHouseNC.com.
That's all about it.
Here is the fucking news.
Film news. Let's go ahead and get started with what's going on in the world of horror out there. First of all, Wes Anderson actually wants to do a future horror film. Are you crazy? That's insanely awesome. The guy who actually directed some of the most visually stunning, most peculiar films such as The Royal Tenenbaums, Grand Budapest Hotel, and he's just obviously like the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which is one of my favorite of the Bill Murray films. He's wanted to actually get involved with horror, which I think would be a great idea. He kind of would have sort of a Stanley Kubrick-esque, tongue-in-cheek kind of horror, I think. At least I think that's the way he would do. He did go on record saying that it would be something where he loves the idea of horror being able to control the emotions. So he gets the idea, that it's not just gore and blood and everything. There's actually something, mindful about it. I think that's pretty cool, and I hope he gets to do it. I'll actually give it a shot and, give you guys an idea what I think of it if he gets a chance to do it. But anyways, we're moving on. M. Night Shyamalan actually wants to make another film, and he's actually working on one now that's a supernatural thriller that's going to be titled Split. He's teaming up with Blumhouse again, the people that he teamed up with whenever he did The Visit, which actually surprisingly was good. I actually got to see it in theaters, and I couldn't believe it, being that Shyamalan has not really had a whole lot of success lately. It's dated for January 20th, 2017. He is, like I said, writing, directing this one, and it will star James McAvoy, Anya Taylor-Joy, Betty Buckley, Jessica Sula, and Haley Lou Richardson. Right now, because Shyamalan is really good at keeping together the plot as far as hiding it, there is no story on what exactly the movie's about, but it's supposed to be a supernatural suspense thriller. It's literally going to be, like I said, going to be called Split. It's supposed to be out in 2017 at the very beginning. Now, for the really important news. If you are tuning in on Halloween night, which is literally in 2 days, Bruce Campbell is hosting an Evil Dead marathon on the day of Halloween, just before debuting a sneak peek premiere of Ash vs. Evil Dead, literally at 12:15 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time. That should be awesome. This does not include the 2013 remake of the film. I kind of get where, being that we're talking about the Bruce Campbell trilogy, I think that's a smart idea, personally. I know some people are probably like the 2013 Evil Dead as well, but I think it's okay. There's some parts about it that are really good, but then they're, like, for me, a lot of parts I didn't really like. But yeah, and because also this news actually just came out today that Starz, being that they love the hype and the international demand of the show as far as Ash vs. Evil Dead, they have announced already a season 2 renewal of the series. That is awesome. I love that idea. Also, Texas Chainsaw film is set to release in 2016. Obviously, the Friday the 13th film has been pushed back to 2017. They're trying to look for better writers for it. But the big news that came out today was, well, not really today, at least in the last few days, is the next Halloween has the title of Halloween Returns, but it's not sure if it wants to do that title or not. Being that it was supposed to be a continuation of Rob Zombie's Halloween series, it might not actually be doing that now. They're not too sure. It's to be directed by Marcus Dunstan, and he's writing as well as directing, as far as with his partner Patrick Melton. They seem to have done a lot of films together, as far as Dunstan and Melton. They've done the Feast series, Saw 4, 5, and the Final Chapter, Piranha 3DD, The Collector, and The Collection, that series in general. Seems like Melton and Dunstan have really stuck together throughout the entire thing. So this is no different. That Halloween is something that they will be doing together. And it was, like I said, it was supposed to be a sequel to Rob Zombie's entries in the series. But it seems that it might have been changed according to Malik Akkad, which is Mustafa Akkad's son, who took over the rights after his father died in 2005. This is what he had to say, and this is a quote. "This is somewhat new news, but unfortunately things happen in Hollywood where you have issues with studios and different variables. We've had to take a step back, and now we're trying to refigure this beast that is the new Halloween. So there is a bit of a delay with the sequel for now. But I do think it's a good thing for the franchise. It's only going to be resulting in a better film, which I hope fans appreciate. But this new Halloween isn't going to be quite what has been announced and what people are expecting. So we're making some changes there as well." So I think that's one thing that might be sort of a clue that they might not be following the Rob Zombie films, and I don't really think they should. But how many times are we going to tell sort of an origin story if they decide to go back to that idea? To me, Halloween 2, as far as from Rob Zombie, was not a great film. I actually kind of really despise it in general. Like they made something really awesome with the first Halloween, as far as Rob Zombie's remake of it, and then it just sort of just went in so many different ways as far as into the second one. But that's my opinion. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks about it. From what I've heard on most people that I know, they don't care for that film at all. Moving on though, Mattel is actually going to go. This is for kids now. Okay, this is for the little kiddies. Little future horror fans. The Monster High toy line is actually going to get their own live-action film franchise. So all the little girls and somehow little boys that collect this stuff, they can rejoice. Universal Pictures is setting to adapt the popular dolls into a feature live-action film franchise. If it goes according to plan, as far as after the first film. Obviously, it means if they make enough money. The first film was set to be directed by Ari Sandel and written by Stephanie Savage and Josh Schwartz. So, little kids, rejoice. You're going to get a live-action Monster High film franchise, possibly. But you're going to at least get one. Also, something for you guys to check out. There's a short film that's based around the Hellraiser series called What's Your Pleasure? I thought it was pretty cool what they did with it. It's just a short film. It's only 11 minutes long. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's literally called What's Your Pleasure? Now, there is conservative parents that were outraged at the premiere of American Horror Story Hotel's content. It's literally the Parents Television Council have been so upset at Ryan Murphy, the creator of the show, for putting in so much. I might as well say it's more sexual content than it is gore, but it's a combination of both into the first episode. which I'm enjoying American Horror Story, by the way. I think this season has been really good so far. To me, I've always loved the first season the most as far as Murder House, followed by Asylum, then Freak Show, and so far I'm really enjoying this season more, and Coven's kind of last on my seasons. I know that's a lot of people's favorite as far as Coven, but I really enjoy the way that they handled the first couple of seasons a little bit more, minus the aliens thing in the second season as far as Asylum. But now here's some really, really cool news that I think you guys are going to like. Rick Baker, the retired special effects guru, closing also his Cinovation Studios, had an online auction set up to with like a lot of his all of his like a lot of his pieces that he sold on auction earlier this year, and now they're actually going to do another auction with more of his with over 400 different creations, and the other one was back in May and it was a huge success, so fans are going to get a chance to get more of this guy's work, as far as he's a legend in the field. So literally on Monday, November 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So Pacific, so that means if you're on the East Coast like I am, you got to be there a little bit earlier, okay? Is when the auction will actually begin, and it's going to go through till Friday, November 13th. The website is propstore.com/auction, and this is some of the stuff that was listed that fans can go ahead and can bid on whenever the auction opens, and there's no reserve listed at this one, okay? There's the mechanical Lenny puppet from Gremlins 2, the new batch. I think that would be pretty cool to have, personally. The George maquette from Gremlins 2, the new batch as well. There's Wolfman mask from the Wolfman. I'm guessing that's the last movie as far as the remake. Full zombie costumes from the Haunted Mansion. Obviously the Eddie Murphy one. Large Mighty Joe Young head. There's a Senator Nadeau finished cow from Planet of the Apes. Again, I really believe that's the Tim Burton remake. The Grinch bust with mask from How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey one. Harry's hands from Harry and the Hendersons. There's a panda head from the Amazing Panda Adventure. Well, who cares about that? This is a horror show. Worm guy body from Men in Black 2. So there you go. There's some stuff there that's listed that will not be on, with no reserve. So that means that, the lowest, the highest bidder gets it. Okay. And finally, for the film news, if you were hoping to see more of the ABC show The Whispers, sadly, you're going to be upset because they have canceled The Whispers. That was based on the Ray Bradbury short story, 0 Hour. After only 13 episodes and a meager 0.7 rating at the end, they have decided to not renew for another second season. So, sorry, people who are fans of the show, and Lily Rabe will have to come back to American Horror Story, On the video game end of the podcast, Slender The Arrival is now on the Wii U. You can use the Wiimote, which will act as your flashlight in the game, which I think is pretty cool. It's only $10 on the digital download on the Nintendo eShop. Europe also has gotten the release, at least on the as far as today, on the 29th. So go check it out. Slender The Arrival, one of the scariest games out there, and it's only $10. Layers of Fear is coming to the Xbox One. There will be a game preview of it up before the full release, so go check that out as far as get a demo of it. And finally, out of the video game news, Simon Belmont statue will be arriving next year from First 4 Figures. When I took a look at this, it looks a little goofy in the face. Kind of looks like if Sylvester Stallone kind of had his Rambo face going and put on a blonde wig, but it's still not too bad. It's a really pretty big statue, and it's based more on the first game as far as the way he looks in that. It's made out of high quality polystone resin and literally hand painted. So go check that out if you want to get a hold of that. As far as I imagine, the pre-order will come up at some point. Let's move on to literature and book news. Literally, this was not too long ago, but it is kind of considered old news. Stephen King actually got the National Medal of Arts from President Barack Obama. This is considered the highest award that you can get in the field of the arts. So, congratulations to Stephen King for getting the National Medal of Arts. Now, I'm going to go ahead and recommend a book to you guys. It's literally called An Illustrated History, The Art of Horror. This is a celebration of all art, including, it'll have dust jackets, comic and novel books, pulp magazines, movie posters, and paintings, as well as digital works. It's actually a pretty cool book. I got a chance to look at it myself. It'll be available at bookstores and Amazon. And I think Amazon had it up for like about $28. So definitely take a look at that. Now you guys are going to love this next part. There's some really funny like general news in the out there as far as involving the world of horror in general. So I couldn't leave this out. Man sues a haunt attraction based out of New York called Chamber of Horrors Dead of Night. Okay, so what do you think of when somebody decides to sue a haunt attraction? Do you think it's because, they touched you, they maybe they got physical with an actor? No, just wait till you hear about this. This is an intense theatrical style attraction. It was actually named recently as one of the most extreme haunts in America, so that's pretty cool. Every year they have a theme set up, and during the 2014 year, it was literally called Initiation. Guests would walk through the attraction that made them feel like they were joining a satanic cult. Before anyone enters, there was an actor going under the tongue-in-cheek name of Lucifer, spelled L-O-U, space C-I-F-E-R. And he would literally ask guests to sign a contract that would give the devil ownership of their soul. Now, something like that you wouldn't think would cause problems, but there's a local man that is suing the attraction because he claims it became too real and that he hired an attorney to retrieve his soul. Saying that the haunt let Satan into his life. I can't believe such things is actually like being sued, and I don't think it passed or anything. But the guy who runs the haunt actually said that he's talked with the man several times, and he genuinely cares about how he's doing and everything, but he took it way too seriously. I think that's pretty notable for a guy that's being sued by somebody over an attraction. Yeah, I just can't believe that somebody would sue a haunted attraction for signing on a dotted line just for the actual experience of it, as far as just for the theatrical experience of it, that you were giving up your soul to the devil. Now, as far as another piece of news that hit in the outside world, a man literally beat his friend to death, claiming that The Walking Dead, yes, the popular AMC show, was to blame for such. Okay, police arrested a 23-year-old Damon Perry of New Mexico, and I think it's Albuquerque, but could be wrong. He literally beat his friend to death with a microwave and a guitar. Okay, now get this. So this is the reason. Perry believes that his friend was changing into a zombie, and explained to police that he had been binge watching The Walking Dead on Netflix prior to the assault, and that him and the friend were drinking, believing that the friend was turning into a zombie and trying to bite him. Perry attacked him with the microwave and the guitar and ended up killing the guy. How in the world are you just that stupid? There had to be more than alcohol involved, and as far as something like this, they had to have been taking some kind of drugs. But now the guy, as far as Perry, is in police custody, and he is charged with open count of murder. So yeah, justice is served. Well, that is pretty much all of the news that's going on in the world of horror. We're going to go ahead and dive into for this one, it's a top 5. This is recommendations as far as movies that I watched during Halloween. And let's waste no time getting into that. Literally, number 5 for me is Vampire Hunter D. Yes, the animated film Vampire Hunter D is one of my favorite animes of all time in terms of film-wise. It's definitely got an amazing style. It was just such a great movie in general. Like, it's got great voice acting, visuals, like I said, were just outstanding. I love the idea that D himself is just a mysterious figure that that is the hero of the story, but he's also very troubled in terms of that he can't really have tangible relationships with anybody because he is half vampire. That's not a spoiler, by the way. And I love the fact that he has the hand, as far as his hand that actually talks to him and helps him. Like, it has like eyes and a mouth and everything. It's just a great film all around. So if you've not seen it at all, I'm sure that you can find it on via like probably YouTube, or go ahead and buy a copy if you find one. There's definitely DVD releases of it. And Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, the second film, is not a bad one either. Really amps up the visuals, so give it a shot. Number 4 on my list is Dawn of the Dead, and I am referring to the George Romero one. I love the 2004 remake, but Dawn of the Dead, as far as George Romero's, is a classic. It's literally set in a shopping mall, and it's obviously a big metaphor for the fact of our consumerism, and that the zombies look a little goofy sometimes, but I think it just adds to the adventure of it. But the human characters, as far as the people who are trapped in the mall, are just fantastic. Like, it's just literally 4 people trying to survive, and they decide that the mall is probably the best place to hide out in. They manage to make it and use it as their own sort of like base, and they're not going to run out of food or anything, as they got all this clothing and all this entertainment that they can use, because they managed to to take care of all the zombies and everything. It's definitely a classic, and you should definitely give it a watch. If you've never seen it, I don't know what is wrong with you. I say that with good intentions. But yeah, number 3 on my list is Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight is the first feature film that was based on the HBO TV show. It also features, obviously, the voice acting of the great John Kassir. I bow to this man as far as being one of the most charismatic characters in all of horror. The Crypt Keeper. It is I think it's a tremendous film. It's definitely in the style of the show as far as Tales from the Crypt, but it's it's just paced really well because of the fact that it's in that Tales from the Crypt style. And this is the best performance from Billy Zane ever. Who can argue with me on that? Because, like, come on, the guy was in The Phantom, which was like tanked. Then you got Titanic. He's the villain. Yes, he's a typical villain. I'm rich. I mean, hell, he was in Back to the Future Part 2. He was one of the Biff Tannen's goons. This is by far the best Billy Zane performance, and you should give it a watch just for that alone, because he is so entertaining. He's charismatic, and he's a demon. So what more do you want? Also, speaking of demons, number 2 is on my list of movies to watch during Halloween is Night of the Demons, the original. Yes, 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 and more yes. Night of the Demons is one of my favorite 80s films as far as in the world of horror. I watch it religiously. I enjoy it. I don't think the sequels are that bad as far as number 2 and number 3. It's definitely one that I take a lot of time to watch. And all it is literally just some kids wanting to party for during Halloween. If you've never seen it, come out to a house called Hull House. That used to be a sort of morgue cemetery, like not really cemetery, but sort of a funeral home and all that. And it's they awaken demons that possess everybody. It's just a great film, and overall the special effects, makeup is tremendous. Voice is kind of funny, but still, it's got a lot of 80s cheese and a lot of 80s fun into it. Give it a watch. Finally, my number 1 absolute movie that I watch during Halloween every single year is Trick or Treat. Yes, not the Trick or Treat, which is the Gene Simmons and rock and roll horror film from the 80s. No, this is the 2000s Trick or Treat. It is the most awesome anthology horror film in the last decade. I love it. I think it's great. It's created such an amazing character such as Sam. If you've never seen what Sam looks like, go look him up. So Sam Trick or Treat, and you'll see what I mean. A lot of kids are actually dressing up like him, as far as that I've seen in pictures. I think it's a tremendous film. It's got Anna Paquin. It's got a lot of great notable cast, and all the stories intertwine with each other in terms of they're in the same location as far as the same town. And I wish I could go to a parade like that, as far as that's devoted all to Halloween. And I promise not to put out my jack-o'-lanterns as far as blow them out in any kind of sense, because that would be horrible. But yeah, that is my top 5 movies to watch during Halloween. As far as anything notable, I would say John Carpenter's The Thing is a great film. I like 30 Days of Night. I think it's a really good vampire film. Of course, I'm going to be the one that watches Friday the 13th as far as any of them. Might not watch too much of Jason X, but still, I'll give it a shot. Obviously, I watched Tales from the Crypt as far as the original series. But, yes, those are the top 5 that I definitely recommend. There's also some really good kids ones that are kind of lost in translation now. Like the Halloween Tree, which is actually surprisingly really educational. Gives you an insight on how certain traditions started. And it actually has a really cool character that is voiced by the late Leonard Nimoy. And he does a tremendous job in that film as well. There's also, let's see, I'm trying to think of some really good ones for you guys to kind of check out if you haven't checked it out before. Well, hell, it hasn't really hit my mind or anything. Oh, there's a really cool horror film called Found. It's an independent film that you can easily get. I think I know it's on Hulu. So check that out. It's a really, really good movie. If you've never seen it before, this is more for adults. Todd McFarlane's Spawn, the series, which was an HBO series, is really cool to watch as well. Yeah, those are some of my recommendations for you guys. But that's going to be all for now. I am Julian Seyfert, the Horror Cabin podcast host, saying good night.